Good morning everybody, welcome back to another Chart Nerd TA video. Today we are going to be discussing Reef. The ticker is REEF against USD on the monthly time frame. But before I get into this technical analysis on this project today, I wanted to talk to you guys very quickly and try and capture your minds in regards to where altcoins are kind of at during this part of their cycle. So what we're seeing at the moment is Bitcoin. If we look at, let's take Reef here for example. We can look at Reef for the last sort of 4 to 5 months. Okay, we've kind of been in this range and not really much has happened, and you can see that we've just been sort of floating around this sort of mid-range, and we're currently at the same price that we was back in December of 2023, November, December of 2023. So to say that right now, if we compare a lot of these altcoins to their Bitcoin pairs, right now, I feel like a lot of alts are crashing, other than a few. If you look at Velo's doing great. But if you think the majority of the market right now, a lot of them have had quite large pullbacks. I mean, from the last 2 months, Reef is down 63%. A lot of coins are down 70, 60, 50%. And there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in the market. And that's, I think, because until monetary policy changes and we go from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing, there's a lot of pressure on altcoins and they're bleeding right now back into Bitcoin. And people are selling for a sense of security in Bitcoin. I think it's relatively normal during this part of the cycle. Again, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, and Bitcoin dominance has been increasing for the last year or two, and people were trying to fat it out. You know, there's a lot of people that are sensing security in Bitcoin over altcoins right now, and I think this is why we're having such large pullbacks. If we look at Bitcoin in 2023, I think it was around 50k in December, whereas now it's at about 60. Compared to Reef's around the same price it was back in December. So at the moment, there isn't anything indicating to me that we should really be overly excited on the grand scheme of things and say that potentially this is the low ball and we're completely done. I don't think so. But at the same time, is that not an entry is that not screaming opportunity? It's the mindset and the way that you look at these opportunities and how you attack and approach these that determines your success. Again, not financial advice. It's all for educational and entertainment purposes only, and I hope you enjoy. But keeping that in mind, what I've just said, if we look at Reef here from 2021, where it topped out in March and finished this bull cycle, you can see that we've been under this very strong level of resistance for multi-year. So since 2021, right, so we had the March 2021, the top, we came into a lower high here in May 2021, put in a low, came back up, and then we confirmed it again as resistance in November 2021. And then we had this really, really big bear market. Okay, and Reef actually took out its all-time low, had a nasty wick, and since then it's sort of been building back up. But for the last 2 months, so from March and April, again, we had this run up into resistance. We had a wick, a fake out wick, a bull trap, but you can see the candle close came under this resistance line. The same was for April this year. And what's quite interesting to see now, and why I don't think this pullback is finished and why alts are still bleeding, we had an engulfing candle last month. So the bearish close was lower than the previous open of March, which is a relatively bearish candle. And again, we've been rejected by this strong level of resistance. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets, and people are thinking, I think right now a lot of people are saying, wow, alts are down 50, 60%, the majority of them are. But is that to say that they still can't crash another 10, 15%? No, it's not. It's still something on the card. So if we do need to look for a key support level and we need to try and find somewhere for an entry point, again, just using key support and resistance here, very simple. On the weekly, you can see that where we lowballed out back here in August, we've got this ascending support line for us, which might just provide a great entry point. Does it have to hold? No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But from this point here onwards in August, you can see we had a point of contact here, we had a point of contact in October, we had a point of contact in January of 2024, and each of these points of contact have been fruitful. The only thing that's stopping us, again, as I was saying, the only thing that's stopping us from breaking out here is this key level of resistance. It was no surprise that from this low, once you started to come up, okay, you can see we had this sort of ABC where you had this low, came up to an A, a B, and a C, up to resistance. Okay, and right now we're just correcting back down for a key level of support. So again, the simple thing to do is just look for support points and look for an entry point. So this green trend line could offer a golden opportunity, a golden sort of area to get involved. Again, getting a Fibonacci on from the local high, I'm going to use the wick, from the local high to this low in August of 2023, you can see that right now, oh, I keep forgetting I need to change that. Right now, we've lost the 0618. We've lost the support level. It's quite... Yeah, I think if we start to see the close below this 0618, I think we are looking to retrace to a deeper level here, and potentially come back down to this trend line. And what we could see at that point, if we was to do so and start coming back here to this trend line, I think we would start coiling up under this 0618 in some sort of ascending triangle, potentially, where you put higher lows in, and at this point again start to go for the tackle out of this descending resistance that Reef's been under for many years. So it's very interesting to see what occurs here, but I do think alts are still going to bleed into Bitcoin until monetary policy changes, until we go from QT to QE. I do think that we are still looking for potential pullbacks here. Again, what would have been nice to see for Reef from these bounces off of this support where you came up, came back and bounced out, it would have been nice to see Reef pull back to this level of support here at around, where was this price? At around 0.0025, because what happened is you came up to resistance, you came back for a higher low, put a higher low in, and you tackled out the resistance and put in a higher high, which is good. But you can see you ran into the multi-year resistance trend line. You came back. It would have been nice to see this high hold as support, but we've lost it, ran into it as resistance, and then now being pushed down. So because of this, again, and because of the multi-year rejection, because we didn't hold this support, we've ran into it as resistance, I'm looking for a dip back down here for another higher low before attempting to take out this multi-year resistance that it's been under. So I think that's my viewpoint on the market at the moment. Again, for majority of alts, I think times are still uncertain, and a lot of them are bleeding back into Bitcoin for security, and this trend line for Reef is just acting as key support. We've ran up to key resistance, okay, which is great because we've had this impulsive move. Right now I think we're in some sort of corrective move back down to a support level before getting a continuation and looking for the break of that multi-year resistance we keep speaking of. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed the content today. I do think that we are on the verge of sort of accumulation, coming to the end of accumulation phase, where this phase won't last for very long, and once these key resistance points are taken out for a lot of these altcoin projects, if you think about it from now, if we're to retrace to the all-time high or to even these candle closes back in 2021, this is a 28x. If you're to retrace back up to the all-time high, the wick, that's a 150x. You know, I'm not saying that's going to come into play, but you know, these are just things to consider. What can come down quite impulsively once it starts lowballing out and finding that accumulation, it can just start to do the opposite and start working all the way, its way all the way back up. All the way back up. Before I go, I'm going to get a few key levels of resistance for us in. So this is one here. We also have another key level of resistance right here. We also have another key level of resistance right here. So these are prices to keep in mind that we need to see Reef break in order to start to see our retracement back to these highs. And I think that these will be important levels in the future. If we hold this ascending support, as I mentioned, if we can start coming down here and holding that support and start to coil up under this resistance, I think eventually we could get the breakout, and the next point of contact would be 0.008, which is these highs over here, the previous support where you came down, ran into it as resistance, came down, ran into this as resistance. We've met it as resistance again, come back for support, coil up under 0.003510, look for the break to 0.0018, and then onwards and upwards up to previous higher highs. So I think that that's the path. We're just looking for the last sort of legs of support. So just to confirm before I go, looking for these last legs of support here, where we come back down to this green trend line, probably hover around for a bit, retrace to this high. If this gets taken out, this is when we're looking to get to this high, and then so on and so forth. And we start flipping the switch. And you can see also, just to confirm with you guys, you've got a wave 1, a wave 2, this is a wave 3, a wave 4, and then a wave 5. 5 waves complete. Right now, as I said, accumulation zone, holding higher levels of support. Up we go, higher targets to take out and resistance levels above. Hope you enjoyed the content, and I'm sorry for waffling. Take care, guys, from ChartNerd TA. Peace out.